You live. Thank y'all for coming out one more time. Happy Sabbath. See, Katrina came into the room. We're about to get started in just a few minutes. How's everybody doing? Can y'all hear me today? Somebody let me know what we sound like. In the meantime, make sure you like and subscribe so that you can hear future meetings, future evening sun posts. All right, we about to get started here. So again, like I said earlier, there was a question that was posed as far as what was the mark of the beast, and as I was saying last week, we have to address, I guess, some topics prior to kind of going into what it really is, because most of the people that listen to these podcasts are not members of the congregation, might not be familiar with what the terms that we use. So as last week we talked about the Sabbath day, today I wanted to dive a little bit into this Daniel 7 and the 4 beasts that are found in Daniel 7. The Bible is primarily a story about the Israelites. As we know, it talks about how they came to be and even what will happen to them in future times. It traces the lineage from Adam through Enoch, Noah and Abraham, Israel and David, even up to Jesus. And it talks about events to happen even up to this day and beyond, into the future. And with biblical prophecy, which is what Daniel 7 is really dealing with, sometimes with prophecy you get confirmation in the form of hearing or seeing a vision twice. As we saw in Genesis chapter 37, where Joseph had his vision, where he saw him and his brothers binding sheaves. And he also saw a similar vision of the moon and sun and 11 stars. So it acted as confirmation that he saw it twice. In Genesis 41, we see that Pharaoh had 2 dreams. He had one where there were 7 healthy kine eaten up by 7 lean kine, and also 7 healthy ears of corn eaten by 7 raunchy or disastrous looking ears of corn. So we see many times in the Bible, a confirmation of a vision or a dream is given twice. Now, I hope you all don't let me talk for 27 minutes like I did last week. I'm going to try to get through this quickly as I can, but it does involve, some scriptures that I will have to read. Just no getting around that. But some of them I will leave for you to kind of explore. So we get to Daniel chapter 2, and it talks about Nebuchadnezzar having a dream. Not only did he have this dream, he told his soothsayers and interpreters, I want you to tell me what I dreamed, because I forgot what I dreamed. Tell me what I dreamed. Not only that, but tell me what it meant. And so as we read in Daniel chapter 2, it talked about 4 kingdoms, and I'll kind of read a little bit of that. In Daniel chapter 2 and verse 1 and 30 or 31, it says, Thou, O king, this is Daniel talking, Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them into pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken into pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. And I'm going to skip down to verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. There's an important point right there. The kingdom shall not be left to other people. If you might want to grab some pen and paper, because these verses you're going to have to look them up, read them, mull them over. So to try to grasp all this in just one sitting is going to be hard. So what does it mean? The kingdom shall not be left to other people. We can find an answer to that in Daniel chapter 7, verse 18. Continuing on, it says, But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So we wanted to dive into what these different metals represented in this image that Nebuchadnezzar saw. So this image head was a fine gold. Daniel ends up telling him that this head, this gold, represented Babylon. This is the captivity that the Israelites were in at the time, where Daniel found himself. His breasts and his arms of silver, and as we read in Daniel chapter 5, and some of the ministers gave messages on Daniel chapter 5. It's very ironic today, where the kingdom was transferred from Babylon to the Medes and Persia. And it says, and his belly and his thighs were of brass. Now we'll find out that represents Greece. I really don't have the time to go into the dates and whatnot and how these kingdoms got transferred, but it's an easy search. So his legs of iron, which represents the captivity or the kingdom of Rome. And that's really where we pick up the story of Jesus, where the Israelites were in the Roman captivity. And it goes on to say his feet, part of iron and part of clay, which would be a continuation or a continuation of Rome in a different way. So to read on, as we get to Daniel chapter 7, in this chapter, the first time it was Nebuchadnezzar that dreamed about this image, but in Daniel chapter 7, it was Daniel himself who had a dream, this second time confirming the first. And in Daniel 7, it talks about him seeing 4 beasts. And I'm going to pick it up at verse 3. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea. Another important point. When we're talking about biblical terminology, when you see something that says it's coming from the sea, it means a populated area. So a place where there are already a lot of people. They call that the sea. So it says 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion. I won't read the verses in detail, but the verse 4 says the first beast was like a lion. In verse 5 it says the second beast was like unto a bear. Verse 6 it says another, which would be the third, like a leopard. And after this he said he saw a 4th beast. This 4th beast was dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. And now that's a hint to the fact that this beast with iron teeth is the same beast that Nebuchadnezzar saw, related to when he saw the statue and it had legs of iron. And another important point, as you read down in verse 7 of Daniel chapter 3, it says this 4th beast was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. And so this 4th beast in Daniel chapter 7 is really not given a lot of details other than the fact that it has these teeth of iron. That's really the only detail that we're given. It also says that it had 10 horns. But we're given a little bit more detail of what the 4th beast consists of as we look into Revelation chapter 13. Now, John, this is the 3rd person who is seeing the same prophecy over and over. Now, when you hear the term beast, you should already know that beast represents a nation. Some people try to attribute a beast to certain religious groups, certain denominations, but beast, as we see in Daniel chapter 2, represents nations. And if you follow, I don't really have a map for you, but if you follow the trajectory of the captivities of Israel, they follow a westward course. So in the beginning they were in Babylon. I don't know which way I'm coming across to you all, but if you can imagine a westward trajectory. So they started off in Babylon. Then they went to Media Persia, which is a little bit west of Babylon. And then they went to Greece, which is a little bit west from there. After Greece, they went to Rome. Again, consistently moving in a westward trajectory. And as I said, there is a continuation of Rome where we find, again, in Daniel chapter 2, verse 34, that the feet were part iron and part of clay, which represents that Roman kingdom is going to be scattered, is going to be divided, but it would continue in the same vein as Rome did. So we look at John's revelation in chapter 13, starting at verse 1, and it says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. So we already see that this beast has similar properties to the one to the fourth beast of the prior chapters, talking about it coming out of the sea, and also that it had 10 horns. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth was as the mouth of a lion. So we see in this verse that this fourth beast has taken on the aspects or the characteristics of the previous 3 beasts. And it says, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And verse 4 it says, and they, meaning all the world, worship the dragon. Now, who is the dragon? We can look that up in Revelation chapter 12 and verse 9. I'll let you all look at that. So the world, all the world worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? So now we see this fourth beast getting his power and his authority from the dragon. As we continue down to verse 10, it says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. So here we have another beast coming up after the fourth beast, coming out of the earth, which means that it is coming from a sparsely populated area. So we know that sea means that there are a lot of people in this particular area, and earth in prophecy means that there is a very sparse amount of people. So this is where this beast or this nation is located, or where it begins. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So when the beast began to come up, it looked very innocent. It looked like it was being started for the right reasons. It looked nice and peaceful like a lamb. But when it came into its own, when it began to be able to speak for itself, he spake as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, which would have been the fourth kingdom, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast. So here it is, this beast coming out of the earth, giving his power, given his power by the fourth beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Now, if we're following this story, we know that the fourth beast got his power from the dragon, and this new beast that's coming out of the earth is getting his power from the fourth beast. So by A plus B and A plus B equals C, we know that the last kingdom, which is the one that's coming out of the earth, is also getting its power from the dragon ultimately. In verse 13 it says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down. Where am I? Verse 13, and he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. So here you have a nation that, when it began, it was started in a sparsely populated area. As it came to itself, although it might have seemed innocent enough in the beginning, but as it came to itself, it spake as a dragon spake. And it began to marvel the world by its seemingly magical deeds of bringing fire down from heaven to the earth. I'm painting a picture of who or where this nation could be. Now remember, there is a constant westerly trajectory. And what I want to pick up on next week, after you have considered these four beasts, verse 16, it says, and he, this beast that comes out of the earth, it says, and he causes all, both great and small, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and on their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So we see that the beast is a nation. Again, some people misconstrue the beast to be particular religious organizations, but the beast is actually a nation, and this nation, which began in a sparsely populated area, this nation that started out with good intentions, but as it grew, it began to speak like a dragon. This nation who marveled the world with the ability to bring fire from heaven down to the earth is going to be the same nation that causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and in their forehead. So what we're going to go over next week is basically, what is a mark? And what nation is it? Because it's really talking about the times that we're living in right now. So what nation is it that is able to command the earth, to shift world policy, to cause everyone on the earth to bow to how they want it done? And if you don't do it exactly how I want you to do it, we're going to make it so that you're not able to buy or sell. We're going to place certain sanctions on you until you come into the understanding that we want you to come into. So I'm trying to paint the picture without dropping it in your lap. Maybe some of you already know what it is. Are they talking back to me? Okay, I need to see it. When I watch this back, I want to see some comments. Who do you think that beast, who that beast is? So again, if you want to understand this book a little bit better, first of all, you have to spend some time for yourself in the book. And you have to surround yourself with those who are interested in going a little bit deeper and a little bit higher. Now, if you get a pretty decent grasp of what this prophetic book is saying, then you can see things coming, and it's not necessarily that you yourself are prophetic, but you can read and understand a prophetic word. You know, some people cannot make sense of the times that they live in. But if we study the prophecies, if we study the words that are found in those scriptures, we can get a better understanding of where we find ourselves in history, what we have to look forward to. Now, there are a lot of details that I didn't go over as far as how long this particular nation or beast would reign, but I'll leave that to you all to kind of get to. So we're going to meet you all next week in love, joy, and peace as the evening sun goes down.